Good evening, everyone in Trinidad and Tobago and the wider Caribbean and the Internet of Things. This is me, Ray, in the building here. It's Friday evening. I hope you all had a fantastic week. Coming down to the middle of the year, we had our first guest earlier this year, but we all know the challenges that we've been having with COVID. Now, more or less, in this second episode of our Livewire media series, we're going to take a different look and a different approach of things. Now, as you know, anyone who's into marketing, this field has evolved over time. First, there was traditional word of mouth between people for goods and services. Then, as print media came along, that more or less had its distribution via newspapers, printed flyers, circulars. As technology evolved, radio and television came into the fore where you both had audio as well as visual means. However, being this as is the 21st century, everything evolves. And with that in mind, my guest tonight spearheads marketing that has taken a digital format. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce to you Miss Katie Hakim of, introduce yourself.
Hi, good night everybody. I am Katie Hakim, as Raymond introduced me, and I run a digital marketing agency called Excite Digital Marketing.
Let's have an introduction of yourself. Also, tell us how Excite Digital Marketing came into being and a little bit about your background.
Okay, sure. So a little bit about myself is I was born and raised in South Trinidad, and both my So as that media came about in terms of the different Facebook platforms, the different social platforms, I began to take an interest, as most people, younger people at that time. Yes. I remember when there was that dial-up connection, and the first thing that you did, yes, not far back. Where
I am from the age of dial-up internet.
Yep. When you can't use the phone
correct.
while you're on the internet. And the emergence of Facebook came about when I was in secondary school. So the bit of a ritual then was you go to school, come back home, start to use the social platform. That became one of the main ways people connected. Afterwards, I decided to use my entrepreneurial spirit. I always had that growing up. Even in primary school, where I would have little, what we call hustles, selling things like stickers and stamps. And we were schooled in a very rural area, and we were the first person to have filtered water, the little filter to put onto your tap.
Yeah.
And I would sell bottle filtered water. So that spirit coming together with the use of this digital platform, that is how I emerged in the whole digital marketing and got really keen and invested in that field. So that's a little bit of my entry to digital marketing and a bit of background of why it was something so interesting to me in the first place.
So generally speaking, as you said, you had the entrepreneurial spirit from a younger age. Is it that you were able to more or less estimate the needs or meet the needs of people from time to time exactly to give them what they wanted?
I would say that is definitely a main part of it, as well as being able to appeal to people around me and tell them on the needs that I saw that they might have. So for example, I'll use the classic bottled water example. I remember telling the other students that everyone would drink from tap. So I remember putting what I would call the marketing twist on it and said, well, this water is not just cleaner for you, but it tastes rich or creamy, which doesn't make sense for water, but that was my take on it. That's what a child would describe it. And that is what sold itself. So it's a mixture of knowing the need, because everybody needed water. They always wanted to have it around. The bottled water concept was kind of new for that area. So it was taking an existing appeal from the children there, and I even sold a few teachers, mind you. I don't know if they were just patronizing me or what, but I was proud of that. And being able to have that savvy to market it in a way that was so unique, because you don't quantify water and rich or creamy, but that was able to appeal to a need as well, to make it something really interesting. So I've adopted that into my present day business experiences.
I see. So basically the phrase that says you can sell iced and Eskimo applies in this case.
I think that it applies perfectly in this case, yes.
If you're a child like me who was a kid in the 80s, bottled water was a bit of a novelty in the 90s when we first saw these things appear. Because generally speaking, everybody would drink from taps, everybody would drink water that they have in the fridge. And then I think the first amount of water that we would have known of was crystal water back in the day. Terrible pack that would come with your school meal, and no. But crazy experiences. Like, nah, I wouldn't be going back to that at all. So, seeing as you more or less basically knew where you were going to be heading, or knew what direction you were pointed, basically going to point yourself in, what made you decide to take the first step in going into this full time?
Okay, brilliant question. I always knew that I wanted to do business. That was in me from the get-go. In terms of jumping over to the digital side, it was an interest that I already had, as growing up with the introduction of the internet and the introduction of the social platforms, as well as I found that there was a need that wasn't being met online. So a lot of my older friends and family would come to me and ask me to help them out online. And a lot of people that are my age would know that kind of rhetoric with their parents, that anything to do with any digital media or anything on the internet, they will ask for assistance. So when business owners start to ask me to just post something for them, or they don't know what to do online, they're not IT savvy, I saw that there was a need there that I would be able to meet. So it was a mixture of my previous interest as well as a current demand, and I thought, this is the opportunity right here. I did a bit of study where they say, where there is demand, you supply it. And you can really help people as well as make a business out of that. So that's how I got there.
Oh, okay. So generally speaking, more or less, do you think that digital marketing in itself still, even though it's sort of prevalent in a sense, do you think niches can be carved out in this form of advertising?
In terms of the going into the business of being a digital marketer?
Yes.
Okay, the answer is yes, definitely. The barrier to entry is fairly low. It's somebody who has some knowledge of the digital platform and can really just be teachable and grow in their understanding. But there are niches that you can service directly to stand out on your own. So I do have a sub niche. So I would go into not just every single business, but small to medium sized businesses in retail, as well as car, auto. It's broad, but it is niched down in terms of the type of businesses that I work with, instead of multi-corporations. So anybody could really decide to educate themselves a little bit more, start to jump into doing the business and choose a niche that they could service best by having some previous knowledge and also having interest in that niche. Then they could supply those people in that market.
So in the beginning of your operations, were there any notable experiences that you may have come across in your time? Like in terms of a memory that more or less, hey, made this endeavor more or less stand out more than the others?
I remember exactly when there were a few key people that I really look up to. Two of which being business owners, multi-branches. One was a franchise, another one had some branches of their own business open. And what made digital marketing stand out for me was that they had a lot more conversation with me and spread out their need to me. And they having these conversations with these business owners that were high profile, that I remember being appealed, getting that attraction to this field because I could add value here in a way that a young person may not be able to in fields, let's say, that has existed for a very, very long while, like an accountant in finance. You would be more trusting of somebody with 50 years experience compared to somebody with 5. So I saw myself adding some value and having conversations with people that I really admired. That was something that was a passion of mine, to be able to add value to people who I really look up to. So that was the key moment when I said, this is something that a young person could do that could add value to people that they already look up to. That is why I want to pursue this.
I've always heard, even from business class in my time at school, that the product itself is 10% the effort, but the marketing behind the product is always the 90, right?
Yes.
And what makes and breaks your product is how what is the phrase that teacher of mine used to use? Yes, mass appeal, in terms of how do I get a broad spectrum, right, of people interested, and the means via which I get them interested. So I guess that is where digital marketing, because these days everybody has a cell phone that is connected to the internet, they have a computer, they have some device that is hooked up to the web. So generally speaking, more or less, mass appeal is already there. So half of the hard work is already done, or mass communication, as it will.
I would completely agree with you. The way that communication has shifted in this generation, or even in this decade, has been moved from face-to-face or a phone call that you would have your landline hooked up and you'll communicate with someone. Now everything is filtered through the internet. If you want to get a review of a product or a business, instead of asking your friend, you would ask Google. And yes, even though a friend's voice may help in that decision, you may just check a business's Facebook page for additional information. So that shift really opened up this new realm of marketing or advertising that enables somebody to get so much information, becoming conscious of their purchase or the business before actually going in and having to do that face-to-face, I want this product kind of interaction.
Understood.
So I think that lands right there.
But at the same token, though, has there ever been challenges in terms of, generally speaking, sometimes when something is niche, people are sometimes skeptical to want to invest into it. For example, usually if the previous mediums, radio, flyer, hard copy flyers, television, was basically conventional means by which people used to advertise. Has there ever been instances whereby, because this was something new, people were skeptical? Why am I saying skeptical like spectacles? People would be skeptical about taking this new format on.
The answer is yes, especially more in the early days. So our agency has been in existence since 2016, which is not a long time in terms of a business, but for the digital realm, the emergence of the internet here. So as the internet was newer and the different social platforms were newer, the amount of people going onto those platforms it was just a new environment overall. There was a lot of skepticism there on why I should even, what is Facebook, what is Instagram, what is social media, what is the internet? There was lots of confusion around that. As time has gone on, the point that we're at is people do see the value of the digital presence, because a lot of the businesses, if they are a brick and mortar business, have their business set up, somebody would walk into their store and maybe like a product and say, okay, I'll come back. What's your Facebook account? Are you on Instagram? So the business owner has that communication between their self and their customer that has now opened the way for them to see the value in advertising online, as well as those more traditional forms of advertising. Yeah.
I think print media eventually is going to die out, though. I mean, generally speaking, because e-platforms are so accessible, and also because of their prevalence, it's so much more readily available finance-wise for people to more or less use those platforms in terms of what they may have to pay, right? Many times, okay, the club that we participate in, which is Cars Autocross, that is a side project of mine that I've been more or less serving a lion's share of my adult life in, but I mean, with a lot of fun. We've always had the discussion of trying to advertise via print media as well as on the radio. I did a television interview once with some feedback, but then again, local television stations sometimes don't have that appeal and outreach because everybody's on cable TV or on their phone on Hulu, Hulu Plus, or all of these other platforms. So generally speaking, because we're a small island, I guess there'll still be a fair amount of mouth-to-mouth or face-to-face sharing of information. However, because now everyone wishes to be at the cutting edge of things, I think this is where your platform more or less has been allowed time to grow and take off in its own way. Would you agree?
I would agree with the latter part of that. To print media, there will be a demand up until a certain generational point. So I actually have been thinking about diversifying my business to incorporate some of the more traditional aspects as well as digital, because there are many people who still read the paper, who are in rural areas that may not have that connection to get their information. So while those things are still there, print can be used there as well as radio advertising. But has it become less effective? The answer is yes. In terms of the way that we do marketing now, is the connection between two people are usually through a screen. And you can have that word of mouth, but it's still using that platform. So it is more powerful for you to get a direct recommendation or review from somebody who you know and trust compared to online. Now online has been able to open their doors to have reviews from people you do trust on their platforms. So it has taken in what is important to the consumer and really embodied what we value, that is authenticity. We want to know the person's review, and the way that we communicate has adopted the digital approach much so now, so the different platforms do appeal to it. That is what makes digital marketing so powerful at this point in time.
So explain to me the process in terms of from inception, in terms of client contacts you to more or less the birthing stages and then the road to the end product.
Okay, lovely.
Or is that a trade secret and we can't share that over the internet because of prying eyes?
Well, I do think that I would keep a few bits of it to myself, but the overall treasure I would be able to share with you, because I do a bit of coaching myself. So I would share with you what I would share with a few of my students. Believe it or not, even though I'm a digital platform, a lot of our first clients came from word of mouth. So I would always recommend that people buy people and then a service. So it was a communication of a few of my friends who know me well, and they would have their conversations with business owners, have their conversation with other friends, and that is how they got in contact with me. now we do have a lot more business from advertising our agency online.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say client contacts me, or I walk into a place of business, strike up a conversation with the manager, and then they ask me, what do you do? I say, I do digital marketing. And then I break that down a little bit more, which is promoting your brand or product online using Facebook, Instagram. At that point, they usually stop me and say, we need that. I don't know what I'm doing there. So that would be that face-to-face encounter, as well as when somebody does call and wants to start advertising, they have reached that place where they have already seen that value and decided to, we need that. So they would come to my platform however they can. I do take my calls personally. I love to know who I'm talking to, and I'll get a good understanding of them, and I'll analyze their needs, and from that point on we see whether you even need this service, if your product is something better to be on a more traditional type of advertising, or if you should go online. It's more about your clients and their need rather than selling somebody package. So I'll give you a quick example. Somebody who is selling fish in a rural area may not need a very strong push online, because most of those people may not be connected to an online platform. Maybe there is something different that we could utilize there, and I will advise them to suit. Now, most of the businesses, that is not the case. They have a business set up in either online, or they have a store set up that they want more foot traffic. So then we create a custom package for them. So we get an understanding of who their customers are, what their business provides. We offer them to create a brand. So we create a brand around you. When somebody sees your business page, your advertisement, they know who you are, they know what you're selling, and then we walk the customer through a process to either get more information, make a sale, come into the store. So it's a very result-oriented advertising process.
And so I would imagine, oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, you can go ahead.
I would imagine there are some analytics that are thrown into the mix as well, in terms of, I know Instagram and Facebook has these sections in Marketplace where you can see how your outreach goes, in terms of how many target hits you may be getting, how much traffic is coming to your page, how many persons have viewed into the last 24 hours, and what your projections may be. Is this data that you can also share clients?
Definitely, yes. So what I do is I try to educate my clients as much as they can, because people can't really make a decision in an area that they don't know much about. So I would say, let's say I have a client that is selling furniture. I'd say, well, since you are a brick and mortar business in one area, maybe you shouldn't advertise to the entirety of Trinidad and Tobago. Maybe we do some focused advertising. These are the amount of people, that is something that you could see online, the amount of people within an area around you. So there are different selling points there that can appeal to a different client. So if our result is we want more foot traffic, then that is a good approach. If it's awareness of our brand throughout Trinidad and Tobago, then we advertise to Trinidad and Tobago itself. So it's really tailored to who the client is and who their ideal customer they are, and we make that connection to best brand and portray that business, as well as connect with that customer and link them together in a mutually beneficial exchange.
Where do you see marketing having inadequacies in Trinidad, in terms of where have some of the major past players, or even within companies themselves, where do you see the marketing may have had gaps?
Okay. I have worked in multi-corporations already, which I will not name, but everybody will know already. But there are a few gaps coming to the variance between what we'll call the two different generations of people.
Yes.
So they're what people call boomers, the older generation, and millennials. And then we have Generation Z. Millennials are people that are born within the more 1985, 1990s upwards. And there's this connection where now this generation of people really take in information differently, and there is the marketing can transfer from how the marketing managers, the marketing heads would have taken information for themselves has changed. So the gap really is not in the marketing itself. It's most businesses do have a full-on marketing strategy, but it's how they market to others. Are you hearing me?
A little bit spotty in and out. I think is your net connection is so I'm buffering at a certain rate. Yeah, I'm good on my end.
I do see I have full connection, okay. And I will answer that question again. Mm-hmm. But I do see that I have a note here that my speaker is giving a little bit of trouble.
Okay. All right, you're muted there on my end. If you can, well, as Katie steps off the screen for a little bit, we'll just like to take a note from our sponsor, right? This is more or less the end of the week, and there's no better time at the end of the week than to enjoy a nice cold beverage or basically somewhere that you like to sit down and enjoy and eat. So at this point in time, I'd like to direct you to Ray's Tavern at the corner of West Coast and Ocean Avenue, where you can find some of more or less the best treats on a Friday night. So look him up. He's on Instagram, right? Take care. And we're back. Can you hear me? I think you're muted on your side. No. All right, I can hear you now. I can hear you now.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
So kindly remind me of the question and I will take another shot at it.
Okay, in terms of marketing strategies within companies, have you ever seen any gaps within the marketing of a product or service within companies?
Okay, the answer to that is yes. The one that is most prevalent in terms of a gap is appealing to a new type of consumer. So that new type of consumer would be the younger generation, or what is deemed millennials. Mm-hmm. In this way, a lot of millennials like to have information before making a decision. Authenticity is more of our policy. I do fall in that bracket, and we want the true, authentic, what this product is. We want to know how it worked with other people, and more about the quality and the emotional attachment to a product or service rather than a hard price and big offer that would have been used in previous marketing. Mm-hmm. So that connect between what worked before and what worked with this present audience is a major gap that I think really does impact most marketing companies.
In my own experiences, in terms of when I was in marketing for my race club, what problems we encountered, more or less, even though we knew our product, right, in terms of having to compete with other people within more or less the car community, because my type of racing is one that is kind of not really spectator friendly. However, it is competitor friendly. Then they have other forms of motorsport that are spectator driven and not actively participant driven. But because the show is so great, people come to it nonetheless, and then ticket sales are through the roof. So generally speaking, sometimes it's a kind of balance or trade-off. But in the end, we always get good feedback because we try to deliver a quality product nonetheless. I mean, similar to yourself.
Well, it really is finding those people that enjoy and attracted to a certain interest. So fear racing, it is a very special type of person that would be attracted to that.
Thank you.
So I would agree with you. Yes, it's likewise here in our business as well.
So generally on that wavelength, in terms of what are some of your services offered to clients in general? What are the packages? What do we get when we sign up with Digital Excite Marketing Agency?
So when you do jump on with Excite, we do each one is based on the customer's need. We do a variety of advertising. So we will do social media platforms, for example, Facebook, Instagram. We even do LinkedIn. That is a underlit but a growing platform in Trinidad and Tobago. As well as we do digital advertising. Is not just social media. If you have a website, we get you ranked on Google, which is SEO, search engine optimization. If we want to really ensure that it's more of a long-term game to make sure when somebody searches for your brand or for a product, let's say I search shoes, Trinidad and Tobago, Jordans, that if you do sell that, you are on the first page of that Google search. So we do custom packages, whether it's we have Google AdSense, which I wouldn't get into because it's a fairly far-fetched concept for the average person. But we do primarily what customers take with us is a lot of the social media advertising itself. So using different social platforms, you would get the designs done. So we do a brand analysis first thing, a SWOT test, strengths and weaknesses, the things that you would want to do to really brand your business as. We tell your business's story. So from that business's conception to where you are at right now, tell your story, get that connection, and create not just a sale, but a community around you. So we would start there and then start to do something called content marketing, which is different than creating a post. It is adding value to a client or to a Facebook viewer, Instagram viewer, wherever you're connecting with people with valuable content that they would like to enjoy. Do content marketing as well as design post creatives for you, so you don't have to go through editing a poster and your goods and services. Maybe you have an offer and you spend 3 hours of the day just moving that one word that just can't get in the right place. We have designers on our side that takes care of actually creating those pictures. If we do a short video, based on our analysis, we will be able to tweak every piece of product or promotion to meet the client's needs as well as the customer. Just clear my throat.
Sponsored by water.
I think so. Water is life. So we'd create content for you. We will also post it on your different platforms at peak times for your demographic. We will do targeting advertisements to we will get your target audience, if that's a region, your specific demographic, if that's an age, a gender, even a certain income bracket and interest. We would then create an audience for you and target those tailored ads to your ideal audience. Also, we will do the management of pages. Yeah, that is really cool. We would also manage your page. Well, let's do it for instance. I'll use our agency. Let's say we are niching down to advertising for automotive businesses. So when I create a attractive piece of content content, post, whatever you want to call it, and optimize that to people who enjoy cars as well as who may run agencies. You could already tell that it would most likely be a lot of males, men in a certain brackets in terms of their age. Right here, nothing to exclude women, but most of the time it's the interest that is right there. Mm-hmm. In our targeting, we can put it, well, we'll do research and then we'll do our targeting. In interests, we can put cars, and it will pull out a bunch of people throughout Trinidad and Tobago who are interested in cars, mm-hmm. which, mind you, we are doing, and it's over 400,000 people in Trinidad and Tobago that are interested in cars. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Funny enough, the captive audience in terms of active racers in Trinidad, that pool is about 2,500 people who actually have a built car or who over the years has actively raced.
Wow. 2,500.
Yeah. So the enthusiasm is there in terms of, I am sure there's a higher proportion of spectators around, yes. But then you'll have the people who actually build, people who build and drive like myself, or people who may be in support in terms of garages, part suppliers, repairers, people who might do R&D, etc. So about 400,000, that's a lot of people. I mean, what are we, 1.4 million people? Wow.
We are at present 1.6 mm-hmm. and growing.
Now, I've heard there are about 5 million Trinidadians in the world, if you count everybody else who's outside.
Oh,
but that's just speculation.
You know what? I believe that. I believe that because Trinis are all over the world. I have been in India, in a Tibetan colony in India, and met a Trini. And both mm-hmm. of us look at each other like, what are you doing here? Mm-hmm. Out of everywhere. So I completely believe that. But
I had one funny experience with somebody who I met from India once. Mm-hmm. Basically, he never met a red person like myself before. So he was dating a friend of mine who migrated to Dubai eventually. And when he met her, I went the same time evening to go and drop off something for her sister. So I was downstairs, and then he was like, trying to gauge my look. I'm like, yes. He's like, pardon me speaking, but are you what we call a red man? I'm like, who's this guy? But I mean, because you think about it, he's like, well, you're different to most people, so I can't, it's new to me. I'm like, I've lived here all my life. Oh, you're her boyfriend from India. Hello, nice to meet you.
Yes. Well, I say Trinis have different flavors. That's what I call it.
Yeah.
You can never really put your finger on what a Trini is and who they look like.
I wonder where I would fall in, because for some people, I don't even sound Trinidadian.
Likewise, but I do look it a little bit, I think.
What is the Trini look? I mean, I'm trying to narrow this down.
It's not a look, it's more of a mannerism. It's more of a conduct, yes.
Is it bold?
I would think so. Mm-hmm. But it's also, you know how we have an accent?
Yes.
A lot of our Caribbean islands do have that. Mm-hmm. But we are quite sing-songy, and our body language is very open. So you would see a guy like, hey, and open yourself up like that. So those gesticulations are really our mannerisms, what makes us identifiable. Like, you could see 10 people looking like me, but you will know that I'm a Trini when you see me move and see me speak. So I would say that's there.
I think you probably may have a little bit of Italian in you, because you articulate with your hands a lot.
I don't doubt it.
Yeah, I've been told the same thing. The first one that I did, the first one of these videos, comments were given. He's like, by chance, is Rabatalia Italian last name? I'm like, no, it's French, right? So he's like, so why do you talk with your hands so much? I'm like, what do you mean?
I love that.
So as we more or less prattling along here and more or less enjoying the flow of the interview per se, I just have to mute one quick second. Hold on. All right, so that is my voice. If you're wondering, that is something I'm building, a car similar to what you see on the screen, but it's not finished as yet.
I seen the longest number plate ever. Is that your brand?
That HRB Jacob Limited, no. Okay, and my face should be back. There I am. Right. Hello, people of Earth. I am back. I have returned. So, generally speaking, seeing as we've gone through more or less the process in terms of how you begin and how you carry over and how you deliver a product, right? Is there anything that you'd like to more or less add to clientele in terms of delivering experience, in terms of complimentary stuff, anything that is special, anything that you may term has the Katie touch?
Okay, so a lot of our business owners, we partner with them throughout their entire marketing journey. Mm-hmm. So we provide a lot of consultation. A lot of the conversation is really around getting to know their specific brand and portraying them well online, mm-hmm. creating a story where clients can or visitors can actually come and get to know the business, their products, their services. And we do build friendships and relationships. Mm-hmm. So instead of a hard-cut professional relationship, we have been able to connect and be able to help one another, that's partnering, one another in their advertising, and myself in learning a bit more about the different businesses, the fields. So it's been a mutually beneficial situation.
I agree.
And yeah, and one thing that I really enjoy that most of our clients, after doing 1 month of maybe just testing out what digital strategies are, what is digital marketing, they have gone on to be with us for 6 months, years, and continuously coming back because it's more of a relationship, and our efforts in really knowing that business and the ease and comfort we have with actually conducting business with one another. So that's what's really special.
So in essence now, if you were to give someone who wants to get into this field advice in terms of what is the best avenue for them to start, how would you encourage him or her into entering this type of field?
Okay, good. Well, as I tell a lot of my students, as well as something that I did for myself, this is personal experience. So do take very serious attention. You do have to have a good reason why you want to get involved. Mm-hmm. Sometimes there are situations that happen where you are forced to make a decision. Let's say you lost your job and you want a good pathway, a good career. Then this is a good opportunity. A lot of times that isn't the case. To have a good why. As well as that, also don't be too hard on yourself. There's a beautiful advantage that we have with this field, which is it's fairly new. So the average person can enter into this field with a certain amount of knowledge, and you can acquire that knowledge in a few online courses and actually doing the process. So I would say get a good why, get yourself equipped, be likable.
Yes.
So that is key. A lot of our clients have went through agencies already and they didn't like the people, and that is what made them leave. It wasn't the quality of service, but it was the likability and being able to connect with people.
So where can we find you if we have to get in touch with you?
Okay. Well, you can find me online at Excite Digital Marketing Agency, as well as I do respond to my Instagram a lot, and that is at Katie Hakim. Should I do the little thing? So you put it right there?
Yeah, we can get that added in, trust me. And Instagram, we'll thank you for that.
Instagram at Katie Hakim. I do love talking to people there. We do a lot of polls and engagements, and I do respond to videos directly. If you have a business that you just want a question and answer, just, hey, how can I better promote my business? I love those kinds of conversations. So Instagram is a good place. Facebook, our agency is there, and you could just Google us as well. We have our website up, www.excitedigitalmarketing.co, C-O, that's the company, C-O.
Well, I must say I enjoyed this little chat of ours in terms of the information that was given, as well as the feedback that you've more or less presented based on the questions and also the articulation and presentation. So I would say from us at Livewire Media, Test and Service, and the Overdrive Network, we'll be looking forward to doing some business with Excite Digital Media.
Yay, I'm very happy to have been here. Thank you so much for the opportunity. I really enjoyed our conversation as well.
So now we're going to give you some minutes to monologue in terms of promoting yourself, in terms of your services, your contacts, where we can find you, and any good word you would like to leave for the folks at home or on the wider internet. So take it away, Katie.
Okay, lovely. Well, you can find me online, and I do like to meet face-to-face as well. What we do provide is a digital advertising platform for you. We get to know you, promote your brand, and we are also able to really get you started on your digital journey with your products, services, without you having to spend hours of your own time investing in learning the different ways to go about advertising for yourself. What I would encourage every single person that is listening is to really do something that you enjoy, that you're interested in. If this is one of those directions that you want to take, I would say that there are lots of opportunities here. The entire our generation, the world is actually going to online. So I would make sure to be on that upward curve. And a bit about what you can expect is when you're helping people, you get the fulfillment there, and this is one of the ways to do that. So I would encourage you to find something that you are wanting to do. If it's to help other people, this is a good field. And if you find some way to enjoy it, because it is hard work, but it is something that pays off in the end. So I would encourage you guys to also follow me. If you have questions, I do love responding to questions, sharing insights. I do a lot of coaching, so that is something that I really do like to encourage for our viewers, as well as anyone who just has questions about something specific that you may not be able to do in a comment section. Feel free to message me there. So that is a little bit for me there.
All right, thank you very much, Katie Hakim, and more or less for a very enjoyable interview and first of many to come. You will be invited for the roundtable discussion with the 4 other guests that we would have, more or less, when we have the roundtable, or the roundup as we would call it, here on the network. So that will be posted at a later date in terms of the magic question, in terms of what will be asked, and also the participants who you must be interacting with, right? So look out for that one. Also, we'll keep posted on our network here in order to more or less give the closest updates in terms of what you may have happening at Excite, as well as anything new that you may have been coming across or what you may want to promote. We are all about promoting different talent, services, you name it, across this network, as is the drive by us here at Livewire Media. So,
great.
On behalf of Ted Hardy, Julius Love, Ronald Clark, and Tanisha Leach, I am Ray, and wishing you all a good night. Katie, you have a safe one, and thanks for joining us today.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure.
All right, so Trinidad and Tobago, you all have a good one, a safe one. Take care, and good night. So first rapid fire question, doubles or Sahina?
That is such an unfair question. Trying to make enemies here. Okay, it is doubles, like hard yes, because I have had there's this thing, I try doubles every single place that I go. Mm-hmm. So that has always been something very special to me. It's it's something that my grandfather used to buy me every time I did something really well. So it has a special place in my heart. But Sahina is such a treat that I can't discount that at all. But it would be doubles. Sure.
Doubles. Okay, so that's one for doubles. Lal, if you're listening to this post right now, she wants doubles. So 2 it's like.
Thank you very much. Medium pepper, thank you very much, Lal.
What the lady speaks, she gets. Okay. The color red or the color blue?
Okay, blue. As you will see in my logo, blue is my favorite color. Oh, there we go. 2 blue, actually. So blue is mine.
She's a winner, folks. You better believe it if she said the color blue. If she said the color red, we'd have to contact Digicel, and that's free marketing.
Oh my gosh, yes. And I'll take that off one, this red off.
If you had to choose between living for the rest of your life, live in San Fernando for the rest of your life, or more or less south of the border, right? Which one would you choose and why not?
Wow. I can't answer that. I don't know. I can't choose. Oh, you're gonna have to ask me another rapid fire question because I have no idea.
Paris for holiday or what? No. Okay. Oh, sorry. That's somebody else's question. My bad. Wrong one. Active person in terms of hiking, swimming, outdoor activities, or laid back and chill person in terms of reading, movies, cooking at home?
Definitely laid back person. I do try, but if you look at my Instagram, you will swear active person. That is marketing.
I do know. I do recall a post. Gym or not to gym? I think a doubles was in the mix there.
The doubles started off that conversation. But I do go to the gym, especially now that COVID is kind of up. But I am definitely more of a homebody. Home, movies, family, watching TV, doing work, reading. That is more my style. The occasional hike.
And favorite hobby?
Favorite hobby? My gosh, as a business owner, you don't have much time for hobbies. But I do a lot of humanitarian work. So I go around and distribute a lot of food and do a lot of counsel. I know that's not much of a hobby, so I might say like exercise and gym, but that is more like where my spare time or extra time is spent. If you had to choose between a like $1 million job, right? Or giving up that's annually by the way, giving up your passion for cars and doing everything race car, everything there, what would you choose?
$1 million is not looking good right about now. That has to be 1 million bolivars instead. Oh wait, I see Venezuelans here. I think in life, if it is you don't do something that you enjoy, it'll feel tenuous, even though if you're making a lot of money. Because I've known people in life who they had 6-figure incomes, but they were miserable, right? They could not bear. It was so bad they actually left the job. Even though they were given retention strategies in terms of we'll pay you more, we'll give you more vacation, we'll up your perks. So imagine the newest phone, 2 more weeks vacation, share the profits, and then it didn't make them stay because it wasn't what they loved, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, cars endemic. It's in my DNA. I can't replace it. I mean, my first word as a baby was car. Believe it or not.
In front of mom?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Not many people know this about me, but I have memory from a kid in terms of I observed everything in my surroundings from a child, and I have the memory stored up here. So I remember it's ga, say ga, 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 saying dada. I'm car. And that's the funny thing. I spoke full sentences, no baby talk in my case. So who knows?
I think my first word is probably doubles.
Well, it shows because as you can see, as I told you, my ears are pointy.
Oh, yes, yes.
Mm-hmm.
If you had to live anywhere in this world
Mm-hmm.
and have a comfortable life, where would you choose?
Probably two. Can it be can it be a multiple of? Can it be
You
more
have,
than one choice? Or
no,
only
you
one
have to
place?
pick your favorite one place.
My favorite food. This is a tough one. My
Yes.
favorite one place, if I ever had to leave Trinidad and go and live somewhere else, would probably be Switzerland.
Wow. Why?
Well, I love geography. I've always loved anything earth science related, and the Alps mountains have a certain appeal to me, right? So the Swiss Alps have a certain profile, as well as the climate there, the lakes, the rivers, the watercourses. They all take on a certain kind of look because of their age, right?
Right.
If you did Form 5 or A-level geography at all, in your past time, certain mountain ranges have certain features because of their age. So the newest
Right.
mountains that basically exist would be the highest ones like the Himalayas, and the older mountains which have been subject to erosion, weathering processes would be the more low-lying ones like the Appalachians or Mount Kilimanjaro in Africa, or some of these that are in Australia. So
Yeah.
generally speaking, because of the age of European mountains, yeah, they take on their own picturesque things. I mean, in terms of climbing it to the top, that's a different story altogether. I'm not afraid of heights, but at the same time, I value living. And plus, I want to be able to keep on looking at that mountain view. So, yeah, it would be Switzerland for me. And I can speak a little bit of French and German, so I should be able to fit in. Although I might be the only red person there.
I think that might be just the little standing out factor. But you do put a new swing on Mountain Man, I guess.
Oh my, and also, yeah, it's a little bit tied in the first question. There's something called the FIA International Hill Climb Challenge, which is a race that is run on mountain roads only, right? Switzerland had motor racing banned in 1954, and they've never had dedicated racetracks. So the only racing that happens in Switzerland, unfortunately, is on mountain roads.
Wow, that sounds like an adventure.
It is. If you tumble off the side, well, somebody will get a postcard from somewhere else.